Hi guys, so we are here today to meet Geeshan Bandara. Is a very well-known wedding photographer. His style is very different actually, so it'll be like it'll be an interesting video, and then you'll get to know more about the style that he uses. Let's go and figure out. Hello Geeshan, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you.
Thanks for giving me your time today. I'm gonna go with the Sri Lankan tradition because
do the Ivo one.
That's right. How are you doing?
I am well.
Okay.
I've had a lot of time to relax. So
Okay.
I'm very, stress-free right now.
Yeah.
How about you?
It's all right, been all right. So I know you're from Canada. I know you're Canadian. How long have you been here? Before I go into the question, I just wanted to know that.
I've been here since 2010.
Okay.
So I've been living in Sri Lanka permanently since then. I came
Okay.
down from Canada.
Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
are you ready for the questions?
Yeah.
All right. So it's going to be very simple. I want you to be like open and honest about this, and then so that people will get to know a little bit more about you other than your photography life, right?
Okay.
What's the plan for today? The whole day agenda. Tell me that.
So today, once I go back, I'm planning on getting into my editing work. There's always stuff to edit. There's always,
There's always things piled up.
It's
Yes.
it's non-stop. It's an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things you can work on in your business in terms of creating new content. So it's an ongoing thing. I mean, as a business owner, I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the plan.
That's pretty much my plan for today. I've set aside the day just for that.
Okay, cool. So as a kid, what did you want to become, or like did you ever have this ambition of being this person? I want to be this. Like I've had gazillion like to say.
Yeah. So when I was a kid, at one point I wanted to be an astronaut.
Cool.
Very briefly.
Okay.
But after I learned a little bit about space, I became terrified. I was like,
You're like, no, I ain't going there.
But there's one thing that I had wanted to become more than anything, and I still would if I wasn't doing photography.
What was
and
it?
I mentioned that before. It's a naturalist. So I would
A
be like David
naturalist.
Attenborough.
Okay. Mine.
That's my dream job.
Okay, cool. So would you still consider going back to it if you have the chance?
If it was actually realistic, yes, I would.
Okay.
Because I could still take pictures.
Yeah, you could, right?
Yeah.
It's like 2-in-1 kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us, how did you get into photography?
So getting into photography was primarily the influence of my dad because he was into it.
Okay.
He was an amateur photographer, and he had a lot of reading material. He had cameras, so I got to experiment.
Everything
with that
was
sort of-
freely available for you.
It was
right?
available for me, and I think maybe I inherited some of that. The way of looking at the world with a different perspective and appreciating certain things. So that was primarily
a start.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. How did you solidify, or like how did you figure out, because if you see the pictures, they'll actually see the pictures now, so they'll figure out there's a unique quality about your pictures. They're very candid. Like when I say candid, everybody say like I try to do like wannabe candid shots. I do that like normally, but your shots are very, very natural. Like how did you solidify, or like how did you figure this uniqueness of yours? Like how did you stick to this quality? Like tell me the beginning of that.
Okay. I'll try and keep it brief, but it might be a bit long. So first of all, the word candid when it comes to photography, as you have aptly described, the description is a bit loose. I think based on who says, who describes it. So the best way I would say is I focus on documentary wedding photography, and that stems from me having studied wedding photojournalism. So I actually started studying, and I did a degree to become a war photographer.
Oh, true. So your background, so education background is actually photography as well.
Education background is I actually have a degree in mathematics, which I didn't really pursue.
Ooh,
I didn't see really
so
as
like a
being
very
practical.
smart photographer.
I've forgotten most of it.
Okay.
So I started studying photojournalism, so photography and journalism, and those are the elements and principles that I've brought into my wedding photography because I wanted to focus on telling a story.
Yeah.
So documenting that wedding day is my focus, and then giving that to my clients, and then letting them see what they missed. So them being able to relive that story of the day, that's my reward.
That's very interesting. Missing actually whatever they missed on the wedding, and then they could actually like they'll be able to see it later on. That's actually very, very nice.
Exactly, because there are so many times when
that you don't even realize it's happening, right? Because like the couple is stressed over the whole day.
Yeah, they're stressed, and they can't focus on everything at once, right? So there's a lot of little things that happen around, and most of the time they say, "Wow, I didn't know that happened. I didn't know."
While they're watching the video or like whatever the photography, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, so that would be how you figured it out.
That's how
from
I got
the education background, and you converted the journalism, whatever you learned there, to wedding.
Yeah,
right?
I use elements of that, and I think a lot of wedding photographers will say you actually use a lot of different types of photography in your wedding photography, like architecture,
that's right,
fashion shoot, like everything.
So okay, interesting. Other than wedding photography category, would there be any other category that you'd like to focus on later on in life, or like you're still like even now you're interested in like doing?
For photography, I would say, I mean, if you mean professionally, I would probably want to do more commercial photography. I dabble a little bit here and there, but I would love to have it be a bit more balanced.
Okay.
So I would like to do a little bit of commercial photography. As a hobby, wildlife photography and landscape photography is always fun. It's,
Okay. Are you into it or no? Like you want to get into it?
I have been into it before. I haven't made enough time for myself now, and given how beautiful Sri Lanka is, it's a crime not to.
That's true. That's true. Okay, cool. So we can see like a Geeshan Bandara in the landscape photography field later on, one of these days.
As a hobby, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I know you've been awarded with many awards. That one of the rare things about your awards is you won many of them for wedding photography or like whatever behind the scenes or whatever, that kind of element, right? Tell us a bit about that.
So the awards are basically, I mean, I'm a part of a number of wedding photography associations and memberships.
Worldwide, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So these are all internationally based, and I'll use an example, one of the most popular and well-known ones, which is called Fearless Photographers. So they have a large group of photographers who are incredibly talented. I mean, some of the best photographers in the world. I would say, I look up to those guys. Yeah. So getting an award in one of those competitions is a huge deal for me because they focus on giving awards to moments that happen in the wedding. So usually they are unscripted moments, they're documentary moments, because they're looking at how you as a photographer are able to tell the story. They do other awards for other photographs as well, like stage stuff. But that's more about you stage it. How are you making it beautiful? How are you making it stand out? What is unique about your photograph? So there's a lot of those things that come into play when it comes to the awards, and I'm really happy to say that I have learned from other people. I've learned to look at the photographs in a different way, and ultimately it's about how you tell that story.
Okay, interesting, very sweet. So if you were to name a few of the awards that you've received?
So Fearless Photographers is probably the most
well-known
the most well-known one. It's like people always say it's like the Oscar of wedding photography.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So that's the pinnacle of
and then you've achieved that.
And I've gotten 7 lifetime awards in that, but there's still a long way to go.
You're talented. So good, so good. I feel proud to be talking to you.
Blushing right now. If it would show on my skin.
We'll just take a zoom in shot for that.
But that's not the only one. There's a membership called This is Reportage. So the reportage wedding photography is some of the same thing as saying documentary wedding photography or wedding photojournalism. Different terms for the exact same meaning. I like them, or I value their awards because they focus specifically on the documentary side. So there's no staged photographs at all. So like if you actually have a staged photograph, it's disqualified. So this time I'm actually judging their latest competition. So you made it to the panel too. Yeah, so that's a big honor for me because now I have been able to judge every single major wedding photography competition. So this was the last one.
Excellent.
So
you bring pride to the nation.
Thank you very much. I mean, I'm very proud to be Sri Lankan.
Yeah, excellent. All right. So, how was the quarantine session, or like how did it affect you?
The quarantine was such an eye-opener because I think we were all just cruising as wedding photographers. I mean, Sri Lanka is such a great place for weddings. There's weddings happening all the time.
It's a rat race though, eh? Everybody's running all the time.
Everyone's running all the time, and it was an eye-opener because you start to realize how vulnerable things are. Because once tourism stopped and you stopped being able to gather in public spaces, that completely stopped everything in our industry.
Yeah.
So things are only just starting back up now. So it was very scary, and a lot of photographers that I talked to were in a similar place. And I think the only thing that we're able to do is take a moment to sort of realize, understand where you are, and focus on coming out of this situation better. So use that time to plan, use that time
reflect on your past and even future, and like see what you're doing.
So it's use that time wisely.
Yeah.
And I think you'll be rewarded. So
did you pick up on any new hobbies, habits, or whatever? Did you like start cooking or whatever? Did you do that?
Unfortunately, I'm not a good cook. That's something I need to do.
Okay.
But I did take some time to learn a few things. I mean, in my my personal life, not really wedding photography related, but there's so many things that you learn that you apply to your work.
Okay.
Even subconsciously.
Yeah.
So it's been I try to look at it in a positive way and say that it's been a helpful time, and not really think about the negative
side of it. Okay, cool. How do you compete with other photographers in the industry? I'm not asking this in like how do you like compete, but like there's a plenty of wedding photographers in Sri Lanka, right? So if you say like how do you stay ahead of the game?
For wedding photography in Sri Lanka, the thing is, I don't think anyone else really does
the type you
documentary.
do.
Yeah,
that's true.
They don't really focus on documentary wedding photography the way I do. So it's really hard to say that I have competition there. But I do I do compete with photographers internationally, and it's a very sort of fun, healthy competition because we always try our best to come up with something different each time. So each time we tell a story of wedding day is something different.
So we shouldn't actually be calling you a wedding photographer. We should probably say you like a wedding journalist or something like that.
So yeah, actually you're right. The official term that I have, like even on my website, is wedding photojournalist.
Oh,
so
cool.
that is the industry term.
I should correct myself then. I should call you that. From now on, you'll be called that. Yes. Okay. What is the most important lesson you learned? Like important lesson you've learned, not in photography, but in general life. Something that you keep at your heart, like like this one of the most valuable thing.
Actually, one of the most important lessons that I've learned is to kind of take a step back from what you're doing, is knowing when to, it's all tied into balancing work and family life, because I tend to go deep and dive into my work, and if I don't mentally take a break from it, I can be doing that for a long time. I can,
You're like a workaholic.
Yeah,
Would you say?
Yeah, and it's because you love what you do.
Yeah.
But you have to balance it out.
That's
so
right.
the best thing or the most important lesson I learned is in balancing that and taking a step back from that to find time for family, your loved ones, and ultimately that made me better at what I do. Because you don't actually realize how much you need a break.
Yeah.
You don't realize how much you need to step back and then maybe look at something with fresh eyes.
Yeah. And the emotional connections, the love that you generally receive would actually reflect on your work as well, right?
Yeah.
It's like in a positive way.
For me, the biggest support or the biggest strength that I have is my wife. So, and she gives me so many different ideas and lots of support, and she's really smart on she knows everything about business.
She's it. Yes.
So I learned a lot from her that I apply in my business. So I think the biggest thing I learned is taking a step back, taking breaks, and making time for yourself and your family.
Give priority to everything.
Yeah. I didn't do that before, and I've suffered when I haven't done that.
Okay, so that's a good lesson you've learned. Okay. How do you educate yourself to take better photographs? Like each day you have to improve, obviously, right? So how do you educate yourself?
Yeah. So one of the main ways that I do is from other photographers, because they always have something that they're doing that's a little bit different from you. You can learn different techniques from them, and one of the best ways to do that is actually shooting with them, as I said. So I've learned so much from just being with someone,
yeah.
and they've learned from me. So we use each other's techniques, so we all benefit. The other way is just looking at looking at YouTube, looking at other photographers' work, and being in discussions, being in open discussions with them. How you can improve your work, critiquing your work. So I find that what I usually tell my clients is that I feel like every day I'm a better photographer than I was the day before. So whenever you hire me, I'm always at my best because I'm always learning something. I'm always learning something new each day. And it could be something small, and it's always fun. Like when you learn something new and then
you apply it. Implement whatever the strategy.
It's a great feeling. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Whose work has influenced you the most, if you were to name few?
So my first biggest influence was actually when I went into when I started studying just photojournalism. So the war photography of a photojournalist called James Natway. So that's something that really opened my eyes to what this world was. But I want to go into focus on weddings. So there's two Canadian photographers. I've actually been to their workshop as well. They're called Lanny and Erica Mann. They're probably, I would say they're still the best of the top 3 at least wedding photojournalism
in the world ranking?
In the world. Yeah.
Holy, okay.
And they're Canadian.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay. From
they're I think they're from Canmore.
Oh, okay.
So they have had the biggest influence on me, and I mean there are some amazing photographers all over the world. One of my favorites is a friend of mine based in Indonesia. His name is Hendra Lesmana. His wedding photos are just a pleasure to watch because
for real? Okay, I should go check him out.
It's funny, it's hilarious. Like
oh,
when you look at his photos,
like you just laugh. You have this grit,
Like he does humor so well. And his photographs are just quirky. Like when you look at it, you think, I mean, how creative is this guy? It's unbelievable.
I gotta go check now. I gotta go check him out.
Look at his pictures,
Okay. All right. So if I were to ask you, what's your current go-to camera and lens? What would you tell me?
Right now, my go-to, my favorite that I'm actually currently using right now is the Sony Alpha A7 III.
A7 III. And if you had to pair a lens with that?
So right now I am not using it, but if I had to pair it with any lens, and like if you said, just use that lens, the 35 is one of my favorites, and the 50.
35, so prime.
Just the primes, yeah, because the weight, it's really light. It's very.
You can maneuver it easy.
You can maneuver it very easily.
Okay. All right. Other than photography editing, what would Geeshan do on a regular day? Photo editing, no photography, no editing, nothing. What would you be doing? Well, like your favorite thing though, I have to enjoy this the most. What would that be?
So I would say before, it's a little bit different now, but say before
you've improved
before
yourself.
Corona hit, before it hit, I used to balance it with free time. We'd play basketball with a group of friends.
Okay.
That was always fun.
Okay.
And downtime is my wife and I, watching some shows on Netflix.
Netflix and chill.
Just we really enjoy our
time.
downtime because work is so intense. We really need that break to enjoy.
So just grab a cup of coffee and just Netflix.
And of course, before this, we used to travel outside. It's going to be a while until you can do that again.
Yeah, that's true.
But
so right now it would be Netflix and chill.
That is my favorite thing to do.
Okay, cool. How do you stay inspired? You're always so humble. Every time I see you, you have the most kind heart. You have this very sweet smile. How do you stay inspired? How do you stay that way?
So one thing I realized was that no matter what you do, at any given time, someone's doing it better than you. There's always someone who's doing better than you.
Wise words.
That you can, not from a point of jealousy, but as a source of inspiration. So at any given time, there's someone doing something better than me, and I can learn from them. So there's always something to achieve. Okay. There's always another step. There's always learning to do.
And then the second portion of my question, the humble part. How do you stay so humble, meek, and down to earth?
I think that answer kind of plays into that as well, because I know that there are people who do it better. You have to stay grounded. You have to stay. You have to understand that there might be different ways of doing certain things. So it's it's just something that comes naturally.
Comes natural to you. Okay, that's a really good quality. We love it about you. So yeah, you're welcome. So if I were to give you one camera and lens for the rest of your life, or no, not rest of your life, like for the next couple weeks, let's say, and you have lots of weddings piled up, let's say that, okay? Assuming all that, what would you pick for the camera and lens? But you only get one, okay?
One. I would still go with the A7 III. I would pick the 35 over the 50. Okay. Definitely the 35. If I had to go just one.
One, okay. Yeah. Cool. Okay.
I've been in situations where I've actually...
You've been stuck like that with like one lens?
I've actually broken a lens.
Okay.
And I only had my 50, and I did about 90% of the wedding with just the 50.
Okay.
It was an interesting challenge, but I got some great pictures, so I'm happy.
Okay, cool. Must be like a really interesting video too. So you have like a memory of that, like one for the book.
Yes, I do.
So, favorite location and venue to shoot wedding photographs in Sri Lanka?
In Sri Lanka, one of my favorites is a lot of people would say the beach, and the beach is beautiful. Yeah. But it's in Mirsa. There's a place called Mirsa Hills.
Mirsa Hills, okay.
It's one of my favorite locations.
Okay.
It's really hard to pick one, but because you asked for a specific one, I will say that's one of my favorites.
Okay, so you're into beach vibe mostly?
We get a lot of beach weddings.
Because you're into mostly destination weddings,
right? Yeah, we get a lot of destination weddings and a lot of expat weddings because they still want to enjoy the beach.
Yeah, have the time,
so Mirsa Hills is actually not on the beach. It's actually a little bit inland and it's on a hill. Yeah, Mirsa Hills. And it's beautiful because when you go up, you get this view all around. It's,
nice.
It's sort of like this, isolated little haven right there.
Cool.
Lots of interesting photos that you can take there.
So that would be your go-to place.
Yeah.
What is the one thing that you wish you knew when you started taking photos, like back in the day, 10 years ago?
Oh yeah, that's a good one. The one thing I wish I knew was spending more time on learning the actual business and not just only the photography, because understanding the business side of it is really, really key. I learned that later on, but if I started over and focused on that, I can tell you that I would have done it just that much better.
Really? Okay. So like learning the business part of it.
Learning the business. So that's everything from the administrative side, how to manage clients, how to deal with managing your bookings, getting new ones. It's a whole thing. I mean, now they say that when you run a business, you pretty much have the equivalent of an MBA. So you've just learned it from experience. But that's
you wish you knew it earlier.
I wish I knew that earlier. Yeah.
But you know now.
But I know now. Yeah.
Okay. So your next question is, this is going to be the second last one. Do you have anything to say to the young and upcoming photographers? A word of advice, or it could be anything actually.
Word of advice. Actually, I would say work with other photographers. So when you approach don't be afraid to approach other photographers and work with them
collaboratively.
Even in the capacity of an assistant or second shooting, because you actually learn so much just by working with someone else, because you see them doing something different that maybe you can learn from. Even if you don't apply it into your own work, it's something that will give you a new understanding or new appreciation. So I would say that's one of the biggest things. And don't be afraid to ask questions, because I know that I've had people like other photographers, like new photographers, ask me questions, and I feel like some people might not ask because maybe they're afraid to ask, but it's really
like the ego might get scratched.
It might be the ego, I don't know, because think about that. There's always someone doing it better than you. Definitely ask, because I love answering the questions. And, I could talk about photography all day. So if someone actually asks, I will give you my honest answer.
Okay, cool. Actually, I have two more questions. I lied earlier. Okay. Are you a foodie?
I wasn't before I met my wife.
Okay, now you are. Oh, is she a foodie?
Because
she loves to explore food.
She has an incredible palate. She has an incredible appreciation, taste for food, and I learned to appreciate a lot of things. Because
okay, what's your favorite cuisine?
Ooh, my favorite. It's hard to pick. it's hard to pick one.
I'll give you two options. You can pick two.
I would say like right now, I would just say what I'm craving right now is maybe a really, really good gourmet burger. Like maybe
you don't do that. You don't do that right now. No, I want that too.
The Wagyu beef burger right now. Right.
Okay. Okay. All right. So my very last question for you: who should we interview next?
I would say interview Dinu from CIC. He's
Dinu?
a video, yeah,
Okay.
he's a videographer because
Okay.
I think the guys who do video don't really get as much of a spotlight.
Yeah.
He's an interesting guy, and I think his answers would be interesting as well. So I would say
And
he's
more
a good
flavor to
yeah,
the
he's a
talk.
good candidate to
Okay.
talk to.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool. So I'll
throw his name
definitely.
into that.
Okay, so I'll definitely try to reach out to Dinu and see if he's able to come talk with us, you know. And thank you for your time. I'm done for today. I'm gonna let you go do your editing as you planned on doing. Thank you for your time. And
Thank
I
you very
shall
much for
see you
having
later.
me, and I look forward to coming by the store and picking up some gear soon.
Please do, please do. We'll always be waiting for you.